Welcome to IAS Net Study, and this is the ethics series. 6 videos are done, and we have finished first unit, ethics and human interface. Now we are taking up the second unit, that is attitude. See, while we discussing the basic concepts in the first unit, I talked about flowchart. The flowchart is that there is a belief. This belief leads to the value system. This values leads to the attitude, and this attitude leads to the behavior. So from belief to behavior, this flowchart. Here in the first unit, we covered this discussion regarding values. We started with the basic definition, then sources, then necessity of this value system, then role of society, education institution, family in developing these values, and also deriving these values from the lives of great reformers. All these concepts were done. Now we are taking up attitude. See, values are my personal standards. Based on these standards, I evaluate things around me. It may be evaluation, maybe about a person, maybe about an event, maybe about an object. See, anything in my surrounding, in my environment, I am going to take a decision. Here values are my personal standards, right? Then actual evaluation happens at the attitude level. Values, I have developed some values: hard work, punctuality, patriotism, discipline. These are my values, but actual evaluation happens at attitude level. So attitude, it is nothing but evaluation happens. Because of this evaluation, I develop factor of whether it is favor or disfavor. So I am going to develop a factor of favor or disfavor. It may be towards a person, towards an object, or anything, any social object in my environment. I am going to take a decision. This decision is nothing but factor of favor or factor of disfavor. So attitude is a tendency of a person to respond in a favorable or unfavorable way to social objects in the environment. This is the basic definition here. Now, if I have positive attitude, outcome is positive. So if attitude is positive, outcome is also positive. If attitude is negative, outcome is also going to be negative here. See, if I have positive attitude in me, it means that these positive attitudes are influenced by values, very strong morals. And if these strong morals are backed by very strong positive cognitions, so there is a linking factor. And eventually, if I have positive attitude and value system, my behavior or the outcome will be positive. If I have a negative value system, my behavior will be negative here. And here, if I have a positive attitude, ethical positive attitude, then I am going to promote the values of integrity, values of fairness, social responsibility, and I make sure that my decisions are moral, my decisions are ethical. In the same way, if I have a negative cognition, negative value system, and eventually I will develop negative attitude, and it will lead to negative behavior. So negative attitude will lead to the unethical behavior. And from a administrative perspective, if I am a civil servant or a public servant, if I have a negative attitude, then I will lead to the negative consequences. It includes nepotism, favoritism, corruption, political interference, or my effort to have that power in my hands. See, these are the negative outcomes. Unethical behaviors can be explained, can be expected with the negative attitude. So positive attitude, ultimately positive outcome; negative attitude, negative unethical behavior. So this is with respect to attitude. See, the important objective of this attitude, why do I what is the necessity of learning this attitude, and what is the impact of this attitude in administration? See, if I understand my attitude, I can understand myself. I'll tell you how. See, if I understand my attitude towards a politician, it's not very favorable, it's unfavorable. Now, why is it happening? Why I have negative attitude towards a politician? The reason is, then I have to go to my value system. My value system is, I am honest. And because of my honesty, I am not liking politician, because I have the cognitions that all politicians are dishonest, all politicians are corrupt. So because of that belief system, I have developed a value system. I have developed that hatred towards politics. So if I understand my attitude, I can understand myself. And it is not only restricted to myself, I can understand other people also. If I am understanding myself in an efficient way, I can understand you also. So the objective or utility of an attitude in a broader sense, in a simple way, if I have to tell, it will let me to understand myself. At the same time, it will let me to understand you also. So I can understand myself, I can understand you also. This is the need or the objective of the attitude. Now let's see the types of attitude. What are the types of attitude? In the last slide we talked about positive attitude and the negative attitude. Positive attitude, outcome is positive. Negative attitude, outcome is negative. Along with that, we have a neutral attitude also. So let's talk about these attitudes, types of attitudes, one by one. First is positive attitude. In general, what are the positive attitudes? Having a positive outlook or positive ideologies like optimism, constructive thinking, approach oriented behavior. These are some positive attitudes. If I develop these positive attitudes, outcomes are going to be positive. And if I have these positive values, it is going to support the ethical or moral values like integrity, fairness, social responsibility, accountability, empathy. These are some of the positive attitude I am going to develop because I have a positive attitude. Sorry, these are the positive values I'm going to develop because of positive attitude. Values, it is going to it is going to influence my attitude. At the same time, if I have a positive attitude, I am going to promote positive morals. So there is an interlinking factor you can see here, the play of interlinking factor. And then negative attitude. Negative attitude, see, I told you that if I have the positive attitude of optimism, constructive thinking, then I can support a strong ethical values, strong ethical morals in my conduct. In a same way, if I have negative values, negative attitude, it is like pessimism, criticism, and avoidance, resistance. If I have this kind of negative attitude, that is going to impact my decision making, that is going to impact my moral development, that is going to impact my ethical conduct also. So eventually this will lead to the harmful behavior. My social conduct, it will not be very fair to the society, and I am going to lose the credibility in the society. So negative attitude, it eventually lead to the harmful behavior. And harmful behavior includes partial and discriminatory or superiority complex, intolerance. These are some of the negative morals. I am going to adopt these negative morals because of the negative attitude. Then the third type of attitude, it is neutral attitude. We understood positive, negative. What is neutral attitude? Neutral attitude is that it is, you are in a state where you think that it is none of my business. I don't have to involve in the situation, or change is unnecessary, or somebody will come and do it. As a simple example, if I have to tell, you are walking in a street and there are two person A and B, they are fighting in the street, and there are people surrounding them and they are watching these two persons fighting. Now you are also going in the same way and you saw that these two persons are fighting. Now you saw there for 30 seconds or 1 minute, then you start walking. Now your attitude is that it is none of my business. If they are fighting with each other, they are going to hurt each other, and this is none of my business. Why do I have to interfere in that? So this is the neutral attitude. I don't want to be a part of this, I'm not a party of it. Or else, take an example of elections also. You might have seen this attitude in so many people that they don't even go for voting on the election day. Their attitude is that whoever wins the election, it is not going to help me. They are the one, they are going to enjoy the power, they are the one, they are going to make the money, and their family is the one, they are going to enjoy all this comfort. And how is it going to help me? So because of that, I am not going to vote for anybody. So this is my neutral attitude. So even though it looks like neutral, that I am not interfering in the fight, in the street fighting is happening, I'm not interfering. But what exactly here it is happening is, there is a passive acceptance of wrongdoing. If everybody start fighting like that in street, can you avoid the situation? It is going to turn into a riot, and again it is going to impact you only. At the same time, politics also, if you are not exercising your power, if you are telling that this is none of my business, it is not going to help me, you are avoiding your responsibility. Neutral attitude, from a simpler perspective, it looks like it is none of my business. But if you look at it from a deeper perspective, you are just avoiding your responsibility. It is nothing but passive acceptance of wrongdoing. So this is what neutral attitude is talking about. So types of attitude, three types: positive attitude, negative attitude, and neutral attitude. Let's move to the next slide. Next slide is that we understood basic definition, we understood the types of attitude. Now you need to understand about one terminology, that is personality traits. Attitudes and personality traits, what is the difference between these two? See, attitude is that because of my belief system, I have developed values, my belief system, I have developed values, and these values have led to this attitude. So ultimately I have learned this attitude, I have inculcated this attitude because of my value system. It is not by birth. Through the family, through the society, through the education institution, I have imbibed this value system. Because of this value system, whether I have a favorable attitude or a unfavorable attitude, this is my attitude. So I can learn attitude, I can change my attitude also if I'm exposed to broader truths, or if I exposed to a different situations. So I can remove my attitude, I can remove my value system, I can develop new values, new attitudes altogether. This is possible. But when you think of personality traits, it is not. Personality traits are, by birth you have certain traits. By birth I am an extrovert, so I cannot change my attitude, I cannot become an introvert altogether. It is impossible. By birth I have these traits, these are some of the features, core features of mine. I have developed this since the childhood, and these personality traits are rigid and they are permanent in nature. Attitudes, you can learn it, you can unlearn it, you can change it, you can stop it, you can do whatever you want if you have a necessary effort, if you put necessary effort. But personality trait, this is not the case. And see, by birth I'm having these personality traits, as I told you, extrovert, introvert, and even being open, that is also one of the personality traits. And for that matter, even to have a talent, singing talent, uh, dancing, writing, see, you can enhance these talents by going to the classes. But talent should be there. The core, the idea, or the favorable factor should be there. So that is the personality trait. And for that matter, emotional stability, being conscious, all these things are your personality trait, a personality trait. And also, in a simple way, if I have to tell, attitudes are nothing but judgments. Attitude are nothing but a conclusion, because I am drawing a line, I am deriving a conclusion based on my value system. See, I have a value system of hard work, then I, my attitude towards a person who is hardworking, it is favorable. I have a positive attitude towards punctuality, then my attitude, sorry, I have a value system of punctuality, then my attitude towards uh, leaving or reaching office, it's almost 10 minutes early. I favor that, I want to be in office 10 minutes early, and I appreciate people whoever comes early. So this is my attitude. My value system, it has direct impact on my value system. So these are judgments, these are conclusion. But whereas if you look at the personality traits, these are certain phenomena which, it's there in my life. I have, it is a part of me, it is extension of my existence. So these are personality traits. So different types of attitude you learned, and then now personality traits, the difference between attitude and personality traits, right? Next slide. Next, let's talk about content of attitude. We are talking about basics here again. First unit we talked about basics of beliefs, value, attitude, behavior, and then in the first unit only, the extension of extensional discussion of values we had a, we have completed. Now we are taking up extensional discussion of attitude. Now let's talk about content of attitude. Content of attitude, you need to remember one model, that is CAB model. Either you can say it as a ABC model, or you can say it as a CAB model. What is this CAB model? CAB is cognitive component. C stands for cognitive component, A stands for affective component, and B stands for behavioral component. So cognitive, affective, and behavioral. Combination of all three, this forms attitude. Combination of all the three components lead to the attitude, formation of attitude. So let me explain this. It's very simple concept, there is no confusion. Let me explain this with example so that it would be easier for you to understand. See, cognitive component, the first component, cognition, you know that this is a belief system. These, something I believe these are true, there might be real or unreal, but I think these are true. And it also, cognitions, it can also, it is not only the belief, even my knowledge also. So these are the cognitive component. As an example, take an example of snake. See, my cognitions or my knowledge regarding snake is that I think snake is very dangerous, and if a snake bites me, I am going to die. These are my cognitions. So it is very harmful creature, and the snake bites me, then I am going to die, or I will be hospitalized. So these are my cognitions. My already I have a negative cognitions, right? My cognitions and my beliefs. Now affective component, I told you that these are feelings, these are emotions, these are emotions. My affective component, what exactly the affective component with respect to snake? Affective component, my what am I going to feel? I will be scared. I will feel that emotion of scariness. So there is a fear, there is a emotion of scariness. So affective component is fear, again it is also negative. Then comes behavioral component. Behavioral component is that is it is a tendency to act, tendency to take a decision, it is a predisposition to act. See, don't get confused. Behavior, sorry, belief, value, attitude, and behavior. We are still discussing attitude, we are not talking about behavior, but here there is a behavioral component. I'll tell you the difference between behavior and behavioral component. See here, cognition, I saw the snake, and my cognitions are snake is harmful, and snake bites is going to kill a man. So these are my cognition. My next, the affective component, the emotional component, or the feeling component. Now the emotional component is that I am feeling the emotion of fear, I am feeling the emotion of scared. So these are emotional component. Now behavioral component, behavioral component is that tendency to act. It means that if I see a snake, I will run away. If I see a snake, I will start sweating. If I see a snake, I my legs are going to start shivering, or I am going to start shouting. So this is what my behavioral component. See, actual running is behavior. Behavioral component under cab model, it is that I will run away. If I see a snake, I will run away. That is the behavioral component. So combination of all the three, it is nothing but attitude. This is how the attitude formation happens, this is how attitude development happens. Even if you change, if you want to change an attitude, then you have to work on these three components only. You have to work on my cognitive component, you have to work on my affective component, and you have to work on my behavioral component also. We will have a discussion this also in the next, or maybe after one more, maybe second or third video of attitude. We are going to have a discussion regarding attitude formation and attitude change. There we are going to deal with these things. How do this affective component we can change, how can we change the cognitive component, and the link between attitude and behavior. Those discussions we are going to have at that point of time. Here the basic understanding, cab model, three components, eventually these three components will lead to the attitude. So if my attitude towards the snake is undesirable, is unfavorable, right? I'm not happy seeing the snake. I have a negative attitude towards the snake. What is the reason? Because I have negative cognition towards the snake. My affective component is also negative. My emotional connection, feelings or emotions towards the snake is also negative, and even the behavioral tendency is also negative. Because of that, I have developed negative attitude, a factor of unfavorable attitude towards the snake. At the same time, if the cognition is positive, affective is also going to be positive somewhere, and behavior output is also going to be positive. See, I have a friend, and my cognition or knowledge towards the friend is very positive. I see he helps me all the time, so my cognition about this person is positive. So already I have positive cognitions so towards a person. Now affective component will also be positive. It means that my emotional component. See, if I see the, I know that this person is a very good person. Next, emotional component. If I see my friend, I will be happy. I am going to give him a shake hand, or I'm going to hug my friend. I will be talking to him with a huge smile. So these are all positive tendencies, positive outcomes. These are what exactly it is expressing. It is expressing my feelings. It is expressing my emotions. And behavioral component. See, emotion is something positive. I am happy seeing my friend, and behavioral component is that I am going to hug my friend whenever. Uh, when I see him, I am going to hug my friend. This is my behavioral component. Here, my cognition about my friend is positive. Ultimately, emotions is also positive. I am happy seeing him, and if I see him, I am going to hug him. I am going to give him a shake hand with full of smile. This is a behavioral component. So if a positive cognition, behavioral component is also positive, everything is in harmony. If a negative cognition, just like as we see in a snake example, ultimately behavioral component is also going to be negative. So these three component, they are going to make up the attitude. There will be a favorable, factor of favor, factor of disfavor, unfavor. And the next, the detailed definitions are there with respect to various three components. You can pause and you can go through with that. Cognitive component, it means that be, beliefs, ideas, thoughts, attribute we associate with an object. Here the snake, whatever the beliefs, thoughts I have on the snake, as we had discussion in the example. And here I've taken an example of yoga also. It's the same thing. So yeah, if I have a belief system that yoga is good for health, yoga improves health, it is going to reduce the stress and it is going to increase the flexibility, then I have positive cognitive component. See, another thing is, just like belief, this cognitive component also, there may not be any truth behind it, but still I believe in it. There may not be any objectivity behind it, but still I believe in it. So again, cognitive component. Then comes affective component. This refers to the feelings or emotional linked to an object. In the snake example, my emotion is scared, I am scared, and there is an emotion of fear, and it is an emotional response like liking, disliking, fear, or love. So when I see my friend, I like this friend. The emotion of happiness, emotion of liking, emotion of love is there. And here in this example, I have taken example of yoga. And yoga is that, since I already have a positive cognition, then I will feel happy and satisfied, especially if I practice yoga. And then finally we have a behavioral component. Behavioral component is that tendency to act in a certain way towards something. In the snake, I am going to run away, but in case of my friend, I am going to hug my friend. So here tendency changes. And here also yoga, see, if somebody practice yoga, then I am going to develop positive feelings towards that person, because I already have a positive cognition, positive emotions. Now my behavior is also positive. So because of the positive feeling, person intended to attend yoga, and I want to attend the yoga classes personally also, because I have all these behavior, sorry, cognitive is also positive, affective is also positive, right? I think this is it for this discussion. We had a basic discussion of attitude, and we had talked about content of attitude also. I'll see you guys in the next video. Yes, there is one more thing: relationship between cap component. The same thing. If you have positive, outcome is positive. If you have negative, outcome is negative. And one more thing is that this is not the same in every consequences. Here you just understand this is how it works. But in the extent, in various, in the next coming discussion on attitude, we are going to see the deeper connection between attitude and behavior. There we are going to dissect it. But at this point of time, you just remember that positive cognition, positive outcome, negative cognition, negative outcome. So there is a synergistic relationship between all the three component of the cab model. And see, all the three, I told you that cognition, affective, behavior, everything works in harmony. So sometimes, yes, there will be conflict. We will take up those conflict cases. There will be conflict. However, you can solve this conflict. You can resolve this conflict. Ultimately, by resolving this conflict, you are going to shape your attitude. You are going to shape your behavior. So if you look at the entire relationship between this various components of cab model, your thoughts, it is going to influence your feelings, it is going to influence your actions, and your actions, somewhere it can modify your thoughts and feelings. So there is an interpersonal relationship of these components is also there. So it is quite complex in nature, but in general what I'm trying to say is, just remember this: positive cognition, positive outcome, negative cognition, negative outcome. We'll expand these ideas, the relationship between attitude and the behavior, how to change the attitude and the attitude formation, attitude change, all these things. There you understand it in a better way. So relationship, there's a basic thing. Everything has been discussed, whatever it has been mentioned in the slide. I think this is it. Thank you for listening, and please subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good time.